as clear as day, completely evident or obvious, unmistakable, easily understood or perceived, not obscured or ambiguous. It was as clear as day that he was lying. His nervousness gave him away. The truth of his statement became as clear as day once the evidence was presented. Her intentions were as clear as day. She wanted nothing more than to be left alone. The signs of his discomfort were as clear as day. Anyone could see that he was unhappy. The answer to the problem was as clear as day once I reviewed the instructions. Plain as the nose on your face. Completely obvious or apparent. Easily noticed. Extremely clear or evident, leaving no room for doubt. The mistake was plain as the nose on your face once it was pointed out. The truth was plain as the nose on your face. There was no denying it. It's plain as the nose on your face that he's not happy in his current job. Her feelings for him were plain as the nose on your face. She couldn't hide her affection. The solution was plain as the nose on your face. We just needed to follow the instructions. As plain as day. Completely clear or obvious. Impossible to miss or overlook. Easily understandable or apparent. Not requiring explanation. The truth of his words was as plain as day. There was no reason to doubt him. The solution to the puzzle was as plain as day once I saw the pattern. The evidence was as plain as day. It was clear who had committed the crime. The mistake in the calculations was as plain as day once it was pointed out. Her intentions were as plain as day. There was no mistaking her meaning. To be crystal clear. To be completely understandable or obvious, not obscured or ambiguous. To be expressed or explained in a way that leaves no room for confusion. The terms of the agreement were crystal clear. There was no room for negotiation. The consequences of their actions should be crystal clear to everyone involved. Let me make it crystal clear. We expect everyone to be on time for the meeting. I made my expectations crystal clear from the beginning. There should be no surprises. Her instructions were crystal clear. There should be no confusion about what needs to be done. To be patently obvious. To be clearly and unmistakably evident, beyond any doubt. To be so clear or obvious that it requires no further explanation. The flaws in their plan were patently obvious to anyone with a basic understanding of the subject. The solution to the problem was patently obvious. We just needed to think logically. The truth of her accusations was patently obvious once the evidence was examined. It was patently obvious that he was unprepared for the presentation. He stumbled over his words. His lack of interest in the project was patently obvious from the start. He rarely contributed anything meaningful. To be glaringly obvious. To be extremely obvious or conspicuous, impossible to ignore. To be so evident or striking that it stands out prominently. The contrast between their opinions was glaringly obvious during the debate. The error in the report was glaringly obvious once it was pointed out. Her discomfort was glaringly obvious from the way she avoided eye contact. The difference in their abilities was glaringly obvious during the competition. The need for change was glaringly obvious. Everyone could see that the current system wasn't working. To be an open secret. To be widely known or understood, despite not being officially acknowledged. To be something that is known by many people but not openly discussed or admitted. His infidelity was an open secret among his colleagues. Everyone knew about it, but no one mentioned it. The company's financial troubles were an open secret in the industry. Competitors were aware of the situation. The celebrity's struggles with addiction were an open secret. Tabloids hinted at it for years. The mayor's corruption was an open secret in the town. People whispered about it, but no one dared to confront him. The government's plans for expansion were an open secret. Leaks to the press had revealed the details. To be glaringly apparent. To be extremely obvious or evident. Impossible to miss or overlook. To be so clear or conspicuous that it is immediately noticeable. The flaws in their argument were glaringly apparent to anyone with a basic understanding of the topic. The tension between them was glaringly apparent during the meeting. They barely spoke to each other. The risks associated with the project were glaringly apparent. It was clear that failure was a real possibility. The need for change was glaringly apparent. The current system was outdated and ineffective. The solution to the problem was glaringly apparent once we approached it from a different angle. To be out in the open. To be completely revealed or exposed. No longer hidden or concealed. To be known or understood by many people. Not kept secret. The investigation into the scandal brought everything out in the open. The rumors about the merger were out in the open after a leaked memo circulated online. Their relationship was out in the open once they started attending events together. The truth about his past was finally out in the open. He couldn't hide it any longer. The company's financial troubles were out in the open after the CEO's resignation. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.